Hi, this is Christian, and welcome back to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news. Coming your way, Wildcard Weekend predictions. Wildcard Weekend kicks off as the 5th-seeded Buffalo Bills of the AFC East at 10-6 travel to NRG Stadium to take on the 4th-seeded Houston Texans, also at 10-6. Now, the Buffalo Bills have had a resurgence as a team. Sean McDermott should be in the running for Coach of the Year. He probably won't win it, but what a great job he's done with Josh Allen, the quarterback, and an amazing stout defense that could create havoc for Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. Now, the Buffalo Bills, we already know their bread and butter is on the defensive side of the ball, led by Tre'Davious White, and I'm really excited to see how they play against Deshaun Watson's Houston Texans. Now, the Texans do have DeAndre Hopkins, of course, their top receiver, but I'm just not sure what Texans team will show up. Of course, in the playoffs, they didn't play particularly well last year in Deshaun Watson's playoff debut, and the Texans are just so inconsistent. Will it be the team that scored 53 points at home against the Atlanta Falcons, or will it be the team that scored 10 points against the Carolina Panthers at home? I just don't know what team is going to show up. And so I just trust the Bills a little bit more in this situation. They're never going to run away with the game, but they're very consistent, and with their stout defense, they're always going to be in it until the final buzzer. And so that's why, when it's all said and done, I know the Texans are at home, but I just can't trust them in this big spot. I'm going to take Buffalo to get their first playoff win in 25 years. The nightcap for Saturday night takes place in Foxborough, Massachusetts, as the 6th-seeded Tennessee Titans at 9-7 travel to take on the 3-seeded New England Patriots at 12-4. Now, this is almost uncharted territory for the New England Patriots, playing in Wild Card Weekend. My goodness, that's blasphemy. They haven't played there since the 2010 season, in which they got destroyed by Baltimore at home. Can we see a repeat of that? Probably not. I don't think Tennessee's really primed to blow anyone out, but they can certainly win this game. Ryan Tannehill has played out of his mind since coming in for the former Heisman winner Marcus Mariota due to his inefficient play, and he has really established himself as the quarterback of the future for this team. Now, the Patriots at home and a strong defense, it's going to be tough to beat them, especially when they know that advancing in the playoffs is on the line. But I wouldn't count out Tennessee. Although they are on the road, it will be a tough environment, but the way they've been playing, they can keep up with just about anyone in the AFC. I like Derrick Henry has rushed for over 1,500 rushing yards this year, and also A.J. Brown, their dynamic rookie receiver out of Mississippi, and has done outstanding things, has received for over 1,000 yards this year, and those two weapons alone on offense could be enough to get the job done over Tom Brady and Julian Edelman and the rest of the Patriots. It's a tough game. I think it will be really tight, and I really could see Tennessee pulling this out and advancing to play Baltimore in the divisional round. But ultimately, when it's all said and done, I can't go against Tom Brady. I can't go against Bill Belichick at home in the playoffs. And so I'm picking the Patriots in a narrow win over the Tennessee Titans. Now to the NFC playoff games, and it's the Minnesota Vikings, the 6th seed, traveling to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, to take on the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, they may be the best team in the NFC, and it's crazy to think they're 13-3 and they're a 3 seed. They have to play 3 games just to get to the Super Bowl, and honestly, that might do them in. If they were a 2 or 1 seed, I would almost pencil them in for the Super Bowl, considering how well they've played. But adding on an extra game, you never know who could get injured if they advanced in this game. And then they have to go to Green Bay and then potentially to San Francisco. And that's just asking for a lot. And I know this team is great, but it's going to be tough sledding. But first things first, they have to get past the Minnesota Vikings. Now, if Dalvin Cook plays really well in this game, then I could see the Vikings potentially pulling a big upset. But if it's all on Kirk Cousins' shoulders and he has to carry the load and score 30 points, I just can't really see the Vikings getting the job done. It has to be a balanced attack, Don't make Kirk Cousins do too much. I mean, they do have capable receivers, Stephon Diggs, of course, and Adam Thielen, who's been banged up with a hamstring injury for at least half the season. And so I really think that the Vikings, it's going to be tough sledding for them to go on the road in a hostile environment and win this game, especially the way that Kirk Cousins has played in primetime. But if they are to pull off the upset, it has to be on the shoulders of their defense. Now, their defense, it's tough because Eric Kendricks is feared to have a torn ACL, and if so, it's going to make things awfully tough for the Vikings to stop Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and the rest of the Saints offense led by Drew Brees. And so, when it's all said and done, I just really can't see the Vikings putting up much of a fight when it's all said and done, and so I'm taking the New Orleans Saints to win big. Seahawks, Eagles. This should be a good one. Now, when I look at the Seahawks and the Eagles, I look at their rushing attacks. For the Seahawks, you have the return of Marshawn Skittles Lynch, as he looked pretty decent in his return. Now, it didn't result to a win as a tough Week 17 loss when Jacob Hollister was just inches away from giving the Seattle Seahawks the 3 seed in a home playoff game, and instead they have to travel to Lincoln Financial Field and take on the Eagles, winners of 4 straight. Now, the Eagles' rushing attack looks pretty good as well, led by Boston Scott's 3 touchdowns to seal their win against the Giants in Week 17 and knocking the Cowboys out of the playoffs. They also have Jordan Howard, who's returning from injury, and he could be a factor in the red zone or at the goal line, but expect Miles Sanders, their rookie from Penn State, to lead the rushing attack. Now, the Eagles' Carson Wentz has looked pretty solid after the Eagles were 5-7, and now after 4 straight wins, they look like they could maybe steal a game, and they are at home, so stealing a game sounds a little weird, but the Seattle Seahawks, they have 2 more wins, obviously, and they've been a lot more consistent than the Eagles have. But the Seahawks have been dealing with a lot of injuries themselves, and suddenly it seems like their passing attack just hasn't been on fire as it was at the beginning of the season, with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf being their top receivers and Hollister being a pretty solid tight end. The Hawks could catch fire, or they could fall short depending on how well the Eagles play. Now, the Eagles may be the most injury-prone team in the entire league, and that may catch up to them, especially against a very physical Seahawks team. So who's going to win this game? I could definitely see the Eagles pulling it out, being at home and really playing with house money. No one really has expected much from them after their 5-7 start to the season, but when the rubber hits the road, I think I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks to get the job done.